Welcome to something to talk about.
Hi, welcome to Something to Talk About. Welcome back to the channel. I've been back for 2 weeks. I was gone for 2 weeks, and I am regretting this video. It's going to be so long. I don't know why I thought I could cover Myrcella Baratheon Lannister. And what was I doing? What was I thinking? All right, so if you don't know what's going on here, you can go ahead and pause this, read this. This is what's going on. But for the layman's term, I'm Taco, and I talk about stuff. So yeah, that's all you need to know. All right. So yeah, Myrcella Baratheon. So this is my let's talk about the difference. So I'm going to cover House Baratheon of King's Landing is going to be my first slide, and then I have four slides for Myrcella on the show. I know this is the only time I've ever gone past 3, but she has a lot on the show. And then I have a lot for the books, and then I'm going to talk about the differences at the end. And yeah, this is going to be a long one, so let's go. All right. So yeah, this person. You guys know this person? All right. First off, House Baratheon of King's Landing. So this isn't the normal Baratheon that you guys have at home. This is the one of King's Landing, and it is the royal line of House Baratheon of Storm's End, from which it comes. So it was originally Storm's End. So it was founded by Robert the First Baratheon after his successful rebellion against King Aerys the Second Targaryen. When he became king, Robert moved from Storm's End to King's Landing. The house takes the Red Keep as its seat. The Red Keep is a castle on Aegon's Hill in King's Landing, the capital of the Seven Kingdoms. The Red Keep contains the Iron Throne and is home to King Robert Baratheon, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms. Thanks to Robert's queen Cersei Lannister, the house seems to be more Lannister by culture. So, yeah. And also, it's a split sigil where you see the Lion of Lannister and the Stag of Baratheon. And, I mean, due to reasons we're about to discuss, the family just seems way more Lannister for obvious reasons. All right, so let's talk about the show. So the show, The Bastard Princess, you already said it. Myrcella is portrayed by Aimee Richardson in seasons 1 and 2, and then Nell Tiger Free in season 5. Princess Myrcella was commonly thought to be the only daughter of King Robert Baratheon, the Queen Cersei Lannister. Like, he has a bunch of bastard daughters, right? Myrcella had an older brother, Joffrey, and a younger brother, Tommen, with whom she was close. The real father of all 3 children, is Jaime Lannister, her uncle and member of the Kingsguard, making them bastards born of incest. However, like her siblings and the rest of Westeros, for the most part, Myrcella had no idea of the truth of her parentage at the time. She had a sweet and quiet disposition and was fond of her uncle Tyrion Lannister. Myrcella is a perfect example of a background character from the first 2 seasons who I will not be talking about every scene she's in, because she's just kind of in the background, just the important ones and ones that she actually speaks in. So yeah, so keep that in mind. And I still only got this down to 4 slides. Myrcella accompanies her father or her family north to Winterfell after the death of Jon Arryn. So in the first episode, right after Bran Stark falls and is injured, Myrcella is eating breakfast with her family. Myrcella, as Tyrion shows up, Myrcella asks Tyrion if Bran will die soon, and Tyrion replies, apparently not. Delighting Myrcella, but horrifying Cersei, because Cersei kind of wants Bran to die because Bran caught her banging her brother, right? And Myrcella is just a sweet, innocent person, so she doesn't want Bran to die. Tyrion excites Myrcella and Tommen by announcing that he wishes to see the wall, and then he amuses them by claiming that he wants to urinate off the edge of the wall. Cersei says, children do not need to hear your filth, and then leaves, taking her children with her. Here you guys go. That's 1 slide down. Let's keep going. You guys remember Myrcella Baratheon? Shipped to Dorne. Myrcella attends the hands tourney in King's Landing and Joffrey's name day tourney, right? So Yeah, I'm skipping over the King's or the hands turning. So she is pleased when her uncle Tyrion arrives during the festivities of the name day tourney and tells her that she is more beautiful than ever. Joffrey says that they heard that he was dead, as in Tyrion was dead. Myrcella tells Tyrion that she is glad he is not dead, which makes Tyrion. Or then Tyrion happily agrees with, yeah, I'm glad I'm not dead too. Myrcella attends a awkward dinner with her younger brother Tommen, her mother Cersei, and Sansa Stark. Myrcella naively asks when she'll marry Joffrey, and Cersei says when the war ends. Myrcella says that she's excited for the new gowns that she's going to wear during one for the wedding and one for the feast. And she points out that Sansa's gown will be ivory because she is a bride. Sansa just stares blankly until Cersei presses her to respond, and Sansa just parrots the usual lines that she looks forward to being married to Joffrey. Yeah, Sansa's just terrified. She's just a prisoner at this point, right? If you guys remember where this is in the show. And yeah, she's just like, hey, I'm really excited for your wedding. And then Sansa's like, uh-huh. And then Cersei's like, did you hear her? And she's like, yeah, it's great. I can't wait to marry Joffrey. I bet you're going to look really pretty, you know. So, yeah, she's just kind of terrified. Hand of the King, Tyrion Lannister, makes plans to forge a marriage alliance with House Martell of Dorne by having Princess Myrcella wed Trystane Martell, marriage that will wait until Myrcella is of age. But part of the agreement involves sending her to Dorne and live in the Martell household. Myrcella tearfully departs King's Landing on a ship bound for Sunspear, accompanied with her septa and Sir Aerys Oakheart of the Kingsguard. She is seen off by the docks by a formal procession. After her departure, her family are caught up in the riots. Yeah, so I'm skipping over the like Tyrion Lannister like does that like weird thing where he tries to find out who is spying for Cersei and whatever, but I'm just telling you guys the important stuff for Myrcella because we have so much to get through, and that is that she got shipped out the Dorne. So in Dorne, with her love, we next see her in season 5. So that was season 2, when she got shipped away, where she is played by someone else, right? In Dorne, Myrcella walks through the water gardens with her betrothed, Trystane Martell, whom she has fallen in love with, while being watched by Elia Sand and Prince Doran Martell. Sorry, Alara. Not Elia. Alara, still furious about Oberyn's death, offers to torture and mutilate Myrcella, and send pieces of her back to take revenge on Cersei. Wow, that's a little rough. Doran staunchly refuses to harm the girl. He's like, yeah, that's psycho. That's nothing like your book counterpart. In the water gardens, Myrcella questions Trystane if she truly loves her, or if it's only indifferent, or if he is only indifferent towards her because of their arranged pairing. Trystane affirms that he has true affections for her, and that they are once again watched by Doran, who muses to his guard Arya Hota that a Lannister and Martell pairing is indeed very dangerous. Myrcella is surprised to see her, quote, uncle Jaime after he and Bronn find her and she is kissing Trystane in the gardens. She is upset when Bronn is forced to knock out her betrothed unconscious. Wow. And struggles against Jaime's advances to leave with him. The Sand Snakes, on Alaria's orders, try to kidnap Myrcella. Arya Hota arrives with a dozen Dornish guards imprisoning Jaime, Bronn, and the Sand Snakes, and Alaria. Myrcella visits Jaime in custody. Jaime tells her that he needs to take her home. He apologizes, clearly understanding Myrcella's confusion at his hostility towards Dorne. Myrcella, failing to understand after almost being kidnapped by the same girls she believed were her friends, states that Dorne is her home now, and she will stay and marry Trystane. And yeah, what? She will stay, marry Trystane, and Jaime alone. Leaves Jaime alone, I guess is what I was trying to say there. Too late. Oh, no. Myrcella is at the meeting between the Martells and Jaime when Jaime remarks that she must be cold in her dress, implying that he doesn't approve of the more revealing Dornish clothing. Myrcella coolly replies that she is not, and that the warmer climate agrees with her. When Jaime states that her brother Tommen wishes for her to return to King's Landing, she is both confused and bothered, but she is relieved when Dorne calls for her engagement to his son to continue, and that the prince can join her back to the capital. And a request Jaime agrees to. So yeah, they're like, no, we can keep the whole marriage thing. She could just go back with Trystane, right? Yeah, where was I? At the harbor, Myrcella says her farewell to Prince Dorne and Ellaria before departing King's Landing. Ellaria kisses her with a fatal poison on her lips. On board the boat, Myrcella reveals to Jaime that she has always known of his and Cersei's incestuous relationship, and that he is her true father. The two of them share a tender moment before the effects of the poison become apparent. Jaime holds Myrcella as she falls, blood running from her nose. Yeah, it is vicious. Myrcella's body is returned to King's Landing with Jaime. Cersei waits at the port and immediately realizes that Jaime's sullen expression that they were too late to save Myrcella from the Martells. So that is the show plot. What's the difference? A lot. So, well, spent too long in the show plot, I know. So we got so much a book plot to get through. And just like how I'm doing more nowadays, I am covering them in a lot more detail nowadays. So this is going to be a long video. So yeah, book Myrcella Lannister. Ooh, Princess Myrcella Baratheon is known to the Seven Kingdoms as the middle child of King Robert Baratheon and Cersei Lannister, a member of House Baratheon of King's Landing. Her siblings are Prince Joffrey and Tommen. Myrcella has golden curls, emerald eyes, and full lips. She's described by her uncle Tyrion as having all of her mother's beauty and none of her mother's nature. Myrcella is delicate, beautiful, and courteous for her age. She displays courage, a strong will, and a high intelligence. She is 8 or almost 8 at the beginning of the Song of Ice and Fire. Myrcella resembles somebody we're going to talk about later, Rosamund Lannister. Yeah, we'll talk about Rosamund later. It's pretty funny. So, yeah, the book, The Little Princess. I love that picture. Myrcella accompanies her family north to visit Winterfell, and the Starks, and at the feast, Jon Snow sees that the 8-year-old girl, Princess Myrcella, seems smitten with her escort, Robb Stark. That's what I think this is a picture of, although I don't know why Robb would be wearing, it looks like, Stark colors with a Lannister lion, but still, that's what I think this is a picture of. Leading Jon to decide that she is dull. Wow, she likes Robb. She's dull. On the way back south, so skipping ahead, she rides in the royal wheelhouse with her mother, Queen Cersei Lannister. Back in King's Landing, Arya Stark. So I skip ahead. That's going to skip a lot. So back at King's Landing, jumping ahead, Arya Stark is chasing a one-eared black tomcat through the Red Keep. The tomcat tries to dart between her legs, but Arya catches it. She excitedly hugs the cat to her chest and gives it a kiss. Then she is interrupted by a voice saying, "What is she doing to that cat?" And it's Princess Myrcella and Prince Tommen are at the end of the alley that she was in. So they're not in the Red Keep anymore. She chases them all the way out, right, to an alley. With them are a couple of Lannister household guards and a septa. "What are you doing to that cat, boy?" Myrcella asks again, sternly. To her brother, she says, "He's a ragged boy, isn't he? Look at him," she giggles. And Tommen says, "A ragged, dirty, smelly boy." So Tommen just adds more adjectives. Arya lowers her head and drops to her knees, hoping not to be recognized. The septa questions her, and Arya keeps quiet so they don't hear her voice. And then she runs away as the guards try to grab her. So she does get away. Yeah. So skipping ahead. So after Eddard discovers that Myrcella and her siblings are back. Eddard Stark discovers that Myrcella and her siblings are bastards. So when Robert is dying, Renly suggests that Tommen and Myrcella be seized and that Robb wed Myrcella. Ned refuses, however. After Robert's death, Myrcella is in the throne room when Eddard confronts Cersei and is betrayed by Lord Peter Baelish and then arrested. Yeah, Ned has his whole betrayal, right? Ooh, yeah, no, we are like speeding through the books from Myrcella's point of view. So yeah, children. Myrcella attends the tourney on Joffrey's name day. I love this scene. When the Hound announces Sansa's arrival at the box, Princess Myrcella gives a shy nod, but Prince Tommen excitedly tells her that he is to ride in the tourney against a straw Quintain. After the whole thing with Dantos, I'm kind of jumping over that, right? Joff claims that he wants to end the tourney early. Tommen is mad because he really wanted to joust the straw man. Joff says no, and Tommen and Myrcella both say that Mother said they could, but Mom said he can. Super funny. And then Joff tells them, don't be children, and Myrcella declares haughtily, we are children. We're children. We're supposed to be Oh, I screwed it up. Oh my God. He tells them, don't be childish. And she says haughtily, we're children. We're supposed to be childish. I thought that was hilarious. And the Hound laughs and says, she has you there. So Joffrey lets him ride against the straw man. I wish I didn't ruin it. Don't be childish. We're children. We're supposed to be it's pretty. And then the Hound's like, you got your beats, Your Grace. It's pretty good. So yeah, later on, not later on, announcing his claim to the Iron Throne, Stannis declares that his niece and her siblings are abominations born of incest. So that's your Stannis Baratheon moment. In an effort to win Dorne to the side of House Lannister, in the War of the Five Kings, Myrcella's uncle, Tyrion Lannister, when he's acting head, offers to marry her to Trystane Martell, the youngest son of Doran Martell, Prince of Dorne. The offer is accepted, and Princess Myrcella, accompanied by her sworn shields, Sir Aerys Oakheart, and of the Kingsguard, set sail on Sea Swift for Braavos. They are met there by an escort from Dorne, and then the Rite of King's Landing breaks out right after. So that's pretty much exactly the way it is in the show, right? Again, I skipped over Tyrion's plotting around it. I just want to jump right to that. Yeah, we still got so much, guys. In Sunspear, we finally made it to Dorne. Myrcella arrives in Sunspear and befriends Princess Arianne and Prince Trystane, the children of Doran Martell. Her chambers are in the old palace of Sunspear, or Tower of the Sun. Old palace is Tower of the Sun there. Myrcella adopts quickly to spicy Dornish cuisine, unlike Sir Aerys Oakheart, her escort. She also enjoys playing Servas with Prince Trystane. Doran Martell intends to bring the princess to the Water Gardens when he departs Sunspear. Following the death of her father, Oberyn Martell, Tyene Sand suggests to her uncle, Prince Doran, that Myrcella be crowned queen in accordance to Dornish law. So you're seeing the first difference is it's the Sand Snakes that are trying to do something right away, but it's not like the Sand Snakes not trying to like, hey, let's just chop her up and whatever. They're trying to queen make her already. Like they're like, no, why don't we put a crown on her because of Dornish law? And then he's like, that's Dornish law. That's not Westerosi law. So to get revenge on the Lannisters for the death of Oberyn and Elia Martell, Arianne schemes to crown Myrcella queen after the death of Joffrey, since Myrcella is older than Tommen. Arianne hopes that the Dornishmen will rise. So Arianne Martell, very big character, POV character in the books, if you're not aware, if you haven't read the books. And yeah, so she's trying to then get the revenge, like doing exactly what it was a Tyene Sand said to do, and she's going to crown Myrcella, kind of start a rebellion that way, right? So Arianne hopes that the Dornishmen will rise to defend her claim for a chance to war against the Lannisters, who would be expected to support Tommen. Arianne is having an affair with Aerys Oakar. Wow. An attempt to get him to her side. It works. After a steamy session, her final persuasive words to him are, your two princesses, meaning her and Myrcella. This is Arianne talking. Most of this is from Arianne's point of view on the way out for the rest of this. So your two princesses share a common cause, sir. And they share as well a knight who claims to love them both, but will not fight for them. So then Sir Aerys swears that he will defend Myrcella's right to rule, and he also agrees to protect Arianne from anyone seeking to steal her birthright, meaning Dorne. She likes that, but she tells him that they need to crown Myrcella first. So let's get to that. The Queenmaker plot. At a hidden well in Shady Stone in the desert of Dorne, Arianne and her most trusted companions, I'm not getting into all of them. If you want another look at the Queenmaker plot that I wrote a while ago, watch my Spotted Silva Santagar video. Is the other character from Dorne from the Queenmaker plot that I covered. So yeah. Arianne and her most trusted companions are awaiting the arrival of Myrcella and her sworn sword. As they wait, Gerald Darkstar Dane claims that crowning Myrcella won't give them what she wants, and he draws his sword saying that this is how we start a war, by blade of steel, suggesting that he just kills Myrcella, right? Arianne thinks that she will not murder children, then tells him to put the sword away, and that Myrcella is under the protection of Aerys, and it will permit no harm to Myrcella. Darkstar claims that Danes have been killing Oakharts, as an Aerys Oakhart, for several thousand years. I think somebody else goes, yeah, they've been killing you guys too. Who cares? Darkstar spots Aerys and Princess Myrcella arriving. With the princess swaddled in a cowled robe, Myrcella is confused when they all call her Grace. Arianne makes herself known, and Myrcella says, Princess Arianne? As she then goes and throws her arms around her, gives her a hug. And then she asks her, why did they call me queen? Did something happen to Tommen? And Arianne tells her that he fell in with evil men and that they plan to steal her throne. To that, the little lady says, my throne? You mean the Iron Throne? Like, she has no idea what's going on. She seems more confused than ever. He never stole that. Tommen is... And then Arianne cuts her off, saying, younger than you, surely. Myrcella confirms, saying, I am older by a year. So Arianne explains that by the rules of Dorne, the throne, it explains that by the rule of Dorne, she gets the throne. I don't know what's with my typos today. She then introduces a girl to all of her companions. So yeah, if you guys are a little lost because I'm kind of speeding, right? So they are meeting in the middle of the desert. She has all of her strong supporters, everyone who's going to support her, including Gerald Darkstar. And then Aerys Oakheart shows up with Myrcella, and everyone's like, hey, what's up, Your Grace? And she's like, what is going on? So, yeah, Arianne has to explain it. So, in the desert, she introduces herself to Darkstar, and Myrcella says, there was an Arthur Dane. He was a knight of the King's Guard in the days of the Mad King Aerys, because it's a Gerald Darkstar Dane, right? Darkstar says that he was the Sword of the Morning, and he is dead. She then asks, are you the Sword of the Morning now? And he is all edgy, and he says no, and that he is of the night. I love Darkstar. Arianne pulls the girl away and offers snacks of date and cheese and olives and lemon sweet to drink. Because we gotta, eat some food, right? Explaining that they need to leave soon, that it's best to ride at night in Dorne. Aerys draws Arianne off alone and reveals that Tywin Lannister is dead. And they talk about how he snuck off Myrcella. So how they got Myrcella out is that she had the red spots. I don't know why I have a space between the S and the P there. And that it was almost fumbled because Trystane wanted to sit beside Myrcella's bedside and play Sir Voss with her, since he already had red spots when he was 4. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, these are like chicken pox, right? I don't think people get chicken pox much anymore. But I think, but they are more severe the older you are, and you can only get them once, right? So they are pretending that she has this. They put red spots all over her so they can sneak her away. So really they put somebody else in there, which I'm going to get at. They put a decoy person in, and then they do red spots, but Tristane's like, I don't care about the red spots. Like, I've had that already. I want to see Myrcella. But the reason why they chose that, I think I get into it. Once he got the prince away, they switched her with Rosamund Lannister, a distant cousin from House Lannister of Lannisport. And to make the disguise convincing, Myrcella curls Rosamund's hair and dresses a handmaid in her own bedrobe and paints the red dots on her face so it appears she has red spots. I left it out, but Aries Oakheart is like, why did we go with that and not like grayscale or like something that's really going to keep Trystane away, because Trystane's going to want to go and see her. And it was because they wanted to keep the Maester away, because the Maester has never had red spots before. So they kind of had to choose, like, do we keep Trystane away from the decoy girl, or do we keep the Maester away from the decoy girl, which is the way they went, which is kind of really funny, right? Myrcella that disguised Rosamund herself, which I thought was really funny. And then, so they head through the desert. And Myrcella complains about how long the ride is. And during the trip, Myrcella asks Garren why they call him the orphan of the green blood. And when he already has a mother and a father, right? And he explains that as a metaphor, that they are mourning the loss of their homeland because they are Rhoynar, the mother Rhoyne. They ask Myrcella questions about Rosamund, and she tells them of the several other times that she has switched place with Rosamund Lannister. So it's not the first time she pulled this whole switcheroo, is what she's saying, right? The failed plot. As Arianne considers her own plan to crown Myrcella at Hellholt, where Ellaria Sand's father Harmon other rules, they reach the green blood and they spot the barge that they're going to get on that Garren's people promise will be waiting. But when they get closer, Arya Hota steps out of the cabin with a dozen crossbowmen and his giant axe, right? Arianne yells for them to flee. Well, Dre, one of the people with them, recommends that they yield. Aries Oakheart foolishly charges the boat, intent on protecting his two princesses at all costs. Arianne thinks, you reckless fool, and Darkstar laughs and asks if he is blind or stupid. So he gets hit with several bolts, and he reaches the boat, getting covered in bolts, right? Just gets nailed. As Arianne falls off her horse screaming no, she hears Myrcella shrieking in fear as Ares fights through the men. He eventually makes it onto the deck, falling off his dying horse, just to be killed by Arya Hota and his wife, his long axe, right? Arianne falls from the horse, I already said that, and vomits when she hears, I did this kind of twice, when she hears the captain commanding the horsemen to chase after Darkstar, who fled. Arianne notices that Myrcella is on her hands and knees, and that her head is in her hand, and blood is streaming from down her arms. We are told later that Darkstar slashed at Myrcella to force Doran Martell into a war against the Lannisters. He failed to deal the killing blow as Myrcella's horse veered away, but the princess is still wounded. Maester Calliope saves her life, but she loses her ear and half her face has a hideous facial scar, right? Okay, so if you guys didn't catch that, because it's written in a weird way, and I'll talk about that right now. So Aries Oakheart goes up, challenges Arya Hota, loses, gets killed. Arianne Martell falls off her horse, hears this shriek from Myrcella, looks over, and then already Darkstar's on his way, right, running off, and the Myrcella is holding as like her face and ear is like cut off, right? It's vicious. So we are told later that it's Darkstar that does it, and that's why he is running. But it is written in a way that it's kind of ambiguous, and there are plenty of people, and I don't have theories in this video. I'm just going to talk about differences, but there are plenty of theories that it wasn't Darkstar that cut her face, that it was somebody else maybe, and yeah, so, and that Darkstar is just going to get the blame for that because they're going to blame Darkstar later, which I'm about to get to in the next slide, for killing Aerys anyway. So they're already putting blame on Darkstar. So yeah, and then there's also theories that Darkstar is working for Doran Martell, things like that. I'm just going to go with what Arianne thinks for now, and because I don't think the theory is super important for the sake of this video. Somebody slashed her face off. We're pretty sure it's Darkstar. That's what's important, right? Okay, so let's get to our final slide before the differences, and that is the feast. So later on, we're skipping to a different book here. After Arianne is freed from the tower cell because she is left in a cell for a little while, and then Balon Swan, the new Kingsguard to replace Aerys Oakheart, arrives at Sunspear with the huge skull of Gregor Clegane. So that's the other reason he is coming, because they're throwing a feast to the fact that Gregor Clegane is dead. There is a feast that the people of Dorne can look upon the head of the king that the Kingsguard brought. Balon Swan tells Prince Doran that King Tommen wishes his sister to return to King's Landing for a visit, inviting along Myrcella's betrothed, Prince Trystane. He also asks Dorne Martell, I spelled it wrong there, to take his seat on the small council. Doran assures the knight that they will see Myrcella at the Water Gardens. Like, yeah. So during a private conversation with Doran and the Sand Snakes, Arianne tells Obara, Nymeria, and Tyene said that Myrcella will tell Balon of the Kingsguard that Aerys had been slain by Gerald Dane. So they're putting that Arya Hota actually killed Aerys Oakheart, right? But they're putting it on Gerald Dane, and that Gerald had tried to kill Myrcella as well. Prince Doran, convinced Myrcella, will ask Balon to hunt down Gerald, and that Balon will not be able to refuse. And meanwhile, he decides that Myrcella will indeed return to King's Landing in company of Lady Nym or Nymeria Sand. So if you're not catching all that, when they get to the Water Gardens, this is what we're thinking is going to happen. That's what Doran plans. They're going to get to the Water Gardens. Face-scarred Myrcella Baratheon's going to be like, yeah, Darkstar did this and also killed Aerys Oakheart. Will you hunt him down? And then him, Balon Swan, and Obara Sand will then go and hunt Gerald Dane. And that's going to get rid of Balon Swan. Also, they're pretty sure that there is that Balon Swan set a trap for them to get captured here, right? That on their way back, they're going to get captured. So they're not going to let that trap be sprung. So instead, they're going to send Balon away, and then Lady Nym and Myrcella are going to go to King's Landing in a different way, I believe, taking a boat to get to King's Landing, right? So, yeah, that's the plan. So now that's as far as we got. So this is what other characters are going on. Tyrion, I left out the T. Tyrion fled in exile to Pentos, and he does consider crowning Myrcella, but is convinced by Illyrio Mopatis to support Daenerys Targaryen instead. So then Jaime Lannister, reflecting in the Riverlands, Jaime Lannister thinks that he will need to tell Myrcella the truth of her parentage. Whatever. Same thing that happens in the show. So during her imprisonment of the Faith, Cersei Lannister learns of Gerald's attack on her daughter from Kevin Lannister, and Kevin tells her that Myrcella blames Darkstar for both the attack on her as well as the death of Aerys. During the meeting of the small council, Kevin discusses preparations to be made for Myrcella's return. The princess has begun her journey to King's Landing with Nymeria Sand. Whoa! All right, 35 minutes in. Holy crap. Yeah, sorry. If you guys come here for me to joke around and goof on you, I kind of put a lot of that to the side so I could just kind of get out through all these slides. So yeah, let's talk about the differences. So there are many differences, just like everything in Dorne, because the show pretty much just kills the Dorne plot, right? So what they do leave alive, they then change drastically. So the events in Winterfell and King's Landing are only slightly different, but nothing is fundamentally changing there, right? So like the first 2 seasons of the show, they kind of do Myrcella justice, right? Arianne Martell, yeah, and then it goes off the rails. Once she makes it to Dorne, it goes off the rails. So Arianne Martell isn't even a show character. So instead of them trying to queen Myrcella and failing, leaving her cut up, instead, Jaime Lannister shows up with Bronn for some reason, and then the Sand Snakes then try to take her hostage, and then she dies being poisoned by Elia Martell. Or Elia Sand, Alaria. I keep calling her Elia. Alara Sand. So Oberyn's paramour, right? So in the show, the Alaria Sand, the paramour, isn't really like hungry, or in the show she's like the most hungry for vengeance, and she's sending the Sand Snakes to like kidnap, and then later on murder Dor Martell and Arya Hota and all this stuff, right? That's not at all. Like, she's the one, the Sand Snakes want bloody vengeance and want to start a war, and then Arianne wants to queen Myrcella, but Alaria Sand kind of doesn't want any of that. She's like, what's more violence? It's just going to get more violence, and then everyone's going to be dead and no one's going to be happy. So yeah, it's kind of weird that somebody who has that stance in the book, they make her like the violent seeker in the show, right? So yeah, all of it's pretty different, and I do see her dying eventually. I don't think it's in the hands of a sand snake, and especially not. I even said it, Elia Martell here. I even got it wrong in the typing. Alara Martell. I'm saying it wrong again. So yeah, woo! There you guys go. 38 minutes. Holy shimola. Itchy back. There you guys go. What do you think of Myrcella Baratheon? Yeah, she is a victim of the Dorne plot. But what do you think of her as a character? I actually really like her. I don't think she is cruel or anything. Like, I think Tyrion has it straight up where she has all of Cersei's beauty and none of her violence and nature. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching, and you guys have a good one. Click like, subscribe. I took a couple week break. This is the first Let's Talk About the Difference character that I've covered since I'm coming back from the break, and I got a fun one. I got Talbot Sari's video on Saturday, so enjoy, and that's all I got. Click like and subscribe. Peace.